Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
The next two matters are regarding James Edward Jelinek. 192916 is a compliance order violation, and 241179 are a new civil infraction that's scheduled for a formal hearing today. And we're all here live. And I'm going to ask you to put your appearance on the record so I don't mispronounce your name like I usually do.
Thank you, Your Honor. Erin Geschmidt on behalf of Constantine Township.
I'll get it eventually. Sam, when?
GESCHWENDT.
I get pretty close, and it's people's names are important. And the zoning enforcement officer for Constantine Township, Douglas Coolman, is also here. And Ronald Jelinek, James Jelinek is here. What's your name?
Cheryl Harmon.
How are you connected to this?
My fiance.
All right. She doesn't own any of the property?
No.
All right, you're certainly welcome to sit there. The padded chairs are more comfortable than the other bench, but you can't give any legal advice. You don't have a law degree, but you're certainly welcome to be here.
Your Honor, I narrated a statement to her that I was going to read when it was my time to talk.
All right.
But my glasses broke and I don't have my new ones, so.
She might have to read it for you. All right. Ms. Geschwind, which do you want to do first? Or do they connect with each other?
Connection, but if we want to do the formal hearing first,
Yeah.
set the whole case.
We'll do the formal hearing first.
All right. In this case, it is a civil infraction formal hearing, file number 241179ON. O stands for ordinance. This is a property located on Tim Road in Constantine. On June 27th, the defendant was issued a citation for multiple violations of the International Property Maintenance Code. The officers executed a search warrant on this property, and that was an administrative search warrant, and found what appeared to be a number of violations. There was apparently, I don't know if it was an informal hearing or simply asked for a formal hearing right off the bat. Anyway, an informal hearing with the magistrate, the formal hearing is front of me. So Officer Coolman is sworn. Mr. Coolman, how did you come to issue this citation?
Thank you, Your Honor. This again stems from complaints from a neighboring property owner in regards to the biggest complaint this time was a noisy generator running 24/7, along with other debris and a new structure that had been built that I had no record of a permit for. So based on that, I did secure an administrative search warrant. We did respond on June 27th of 2024 with that administrative search warrant. Mr. Jelinek was not present. I believe the lady that's sitting to his right was the person that was there when we arrived. She indicated that she called him because he was only a couple miles down the road helping somebody work on a vehicle. However, Mr. Jelinek never showed up during the time of this search. I have submitted to the courts 45 pictures, which will show various unlicensed vehicle junk litter laying around. But again, what's more problematic with this one is they were running a generator. According to American Electric Power, they've been without power at this location since April of 2024. Running generators with extension cords running into the house, all over the house, down through the ground to other outbuildings, and which are creating, some circuit overloads, I can only imagine. The generator we actually shut it off while we were standing there because the fumes were making us such nauseation because of the poor fumes that were being let off. We did do a search of the residence. There's other issues inside the residence, like there's a open flamed heater that's sitting about 1 foot away from a bed that's got, bedding on it. Just all kinds of international property maintenance code violations along with junk and litter. One of the other concerning things, and this one that's kind of hitting home with me, Your Honor, he has yet built another illegal structure on there that had absolutely no windows in it whatsoever, only had one entry door in it. A gentleman was living in there, was there at the time of our inspection. On the other side of the wall from the entry door was a whole bank of automotive batteries that were being charged by a generator. If those batteries would fail and catch that wall on fire, there's no way anybody could have got out of that illegal structure. Again, this brings back some pretty.
Well, let's talk about this. 2 little girls, 2 children were killed in a fire on this property from an illegal structure.
Right.
So I have about 0 sympathy for your current circumstance. In fact, I'm surprised you didn't get charged with a crime. In fact, I expected you would be charged with some sort of crime for that, but as far as I can tell, you weren't.
That's the hard thing for me, Your Honor, because you specifically from the bench told him that he could not have people living in substandard buildings. And as a result of that, 2 children lost their lives. You and I think have lived in this county all our lives, and you don't forget a thing. If you remember back in the 80s, I used to be a firefighter and an EMT, and we had a call for a structure fire. And as soon as I pulled out of my driveway, I could see the flames. And unfortunately, 4 children perished in that fire. And as you recall, I was also the funeral director in that community at the time. So I dealt with 2 families that lost 4 children due to a fire that probably should not have happened. And this case here brings back some pretty significant memories for me from back in the 80s. And obviously, my opinion.
Well, let's screen share here. See if we can go through these one by one. The 45 pictures that you took were taken when?
They were taken on the date of the inspection, which is the June 27th, 2024.
And are they fair and accurate pictures of what you saw that day?
They are, Your Honor.
All right. On the screen, we see
So this is the interior of the home. They've got a light hanging on the wall that's got a wire going down to the floor, plugged into an extension cord that, as the pictures progress, you'll see several extension cords running all through this home.
All right. I'm going to admit the 4 to 5 photographs all collectively as Exhibit 1 for this hearing. They're fair and accurate representations of what was taken that day on these one by one. All right, here's which is page number 6 of your report. What are we seeing in this picture?
So again, that's in the interior of the dwelling. You can see there's all kinds of extension cords laying on the floor going various directions. One of the things that's plugged into those extension cords is the air conditioner that's at the upper left-hand corner of that photograph.
This is listed as page number 7 of your report. What are we seeing here? More of the same.
Again, more of the same. The extension cords running all over, extension cords plugged into extension
Well,
cords.
and all the surfaces we see on the walls and floor are wood. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Oh, boy. This is number 8 of your report.
So this is the open flamed combustible heating device that's in that room. Number 1, it's secured to a wooden wall, but if you can see, the bedding and stuff is like within a foot of that open flamed.
And that's not code compliant. They wouldn't let somebody install something like that.
You're correct, Your Honor.
Was it on?
No, it wasn't. It was pretty warm that day when we were.
Holy smokes. Are you trying to start a fire? Holy moly. 9, it's sideways. No, it's not. I guess a light fixture in the closet.
Right, so this is again, a wooden shake wall covering. They've got an extension cord going up wrapped around a light fixture. One of the light fixtures does not have any bulb in it, so somebody going in dark sticks their finger in the wrong spot, they're gonna get electric shock from an exposed electrical connection.
Page number 10.
That was at the bottom of the stairway, as I indicated. American Electric Power said they had not had any power to this residence since April of 2024. And it was due to they had to redo their whole electrical service because it was so outdated. So that was sitting there. I can only make an assumption that they were going to attempt to upgrade the electrical, but it's sitting inside the house, not outside being installed.
That's not hooked up to anything. It's just sitting there.
Correct.
Page 11.
This is just one of the rooms in the interior of the house. Again, definitely, I mean, it's showing occupancy. There was the female subject that was there. I was told that she was the only one in the residence at the time. Unfortunately, I did have a guy hiding up in the second story of the house that subsequently had a warrant out of the state of Georgia, so he was arrested as well. So this is just showing the interior of the house, that it is being occupied.
Page number 12.
Again, electrical cord running throughout the house.
13.
That is 2 generators that are sitting outside the dwelling. The one in the background was not in operation at the time. The one in the front was operating and giving off some very foul smells.
So the smaller one in the front looks like a 2,000 watt or 3,000 watt.
3,000, Your Honor.
And how big was the other one?
That I do not know. I will indicate to you that there's a picture further back in my report. I went back the next day to the neighboring property just to see if they were still running generators after we placarded them as unsafe for human habitation. And in fact, those 2 generators were not in operation, but there was another brand new generator sitting in its place.
Boy, here's another one. This would be page 14. I'm not even sure what I'm looking at.
That's part of the electrical wiring and the
What's that?
cable TV wiring and the gas supply.
That big, that's the gas supply in the middle of that picture?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, boy. Number 15.
That is the electric service that's going to the house that American Electric Power has condemned.
And 16.
16, it's hard to see it, but if you look towards the left-hand side where that workbench or whatever that wooden bench is, you'll see an electrical extension cord. That extension cord is running for, I'm going to say, several hundred feet, going to other buildings that are on the property, and it's just laying on the ground. At some points, walking back that direction, at some points, the extension cord was actually covered up with dirt.
17.
That's a couple propane tanks that are on the property. And it looks like whenever they need it, they just go get the propane gas grill tanks and hitch it up as well.
All right, this would be page 18.
So that's one of the storage sheds, Your Honor, that's on the property. It's kind of filled with clutter and debris, and then right inside the door is another propane tank sitting there.
19.
19 is an accessory building that I think portion of it has been there for quite some time, but it's been added onto and no permits for that. And it's certainly, according to our building inspector, who was on the scene as well, indicated that that building would not meet any kind of building codes.
Mr. Jelinek, I'm gonna guess that's a 1951. What am I looking at there?
Correct, 51 Chevy Fleet Line.
Okay. This is number 20.
Right, that's another portion of that building which has been built on, which has not been permitted by the township, and would not pass an inspection.
21.
This is one of those temporary shelters. I believe when we go back, if we went back to the 2019, you'd see that it was in those photographs as well. It's ended its life cycle. The tarps are all coming apart and it's in quite disarray in that area.
I guess that's why they call them temporary. 22.
22 is another building that has been erected without any permits and in accordance to our building inspector would not meet any type of building codes.
It's on the inside of that. LPs all over the wall.
Yes.
Probably have some of those. 23.
23 is a burn pile that's on the ground. As you can see, they're burning plastics and plastic bottles and other materials that, according to state law, would be illegal to burn. 24 is another makeshift building that he has created on the property, and it's what we determined would be partially in the state of collapse, so it would be a dangerous building.
25.
That's another picture of this structure device that he's constructing, and I don't know whether he's trying to call it a fence or whatever, but it's not built appropriately and not permitted.
26.
26 is a vehicle that back in 2014, I'm sorry, 2019 was present. I'm not sure that it's operational, but it's been on the property all that time and it does not appear to be operational, which would be a violation of the junk vehicle ordinance.
I'm taking another shot at this. Is that a 72?
68, fully operational.
All right, it's got a valid
License.
plate on it. All right. What are we seeing here in 20? I guess that's 25. This was
27.
27.
Kind of in the center of the picture, Your Honor, you can see they had an part of that extension cord that I referenced. It was buried in the ground going out to other buildings.
28.
28 is the new structure that has been built on the property that this gentleman was living in. Again, no permits from the zoning standpoint of it, no permits from the building side of it, and it has all kinds of debris laying around it, which would be construed as litter.
Is there any heat source for this building?
Had like a stove in there, but I don't. There's a picture later that'll show the interior of the.
Well, okay, and there's no sanitation and no water to it.
No one lived in it.
30.
Picture of a burning barrel. Obviously, you can see there's a plastic garbage bag in it. You can see remnants of cans and stuff that are being burnt. So again, violation of the Michigan state law for burning.
When I was young, I worked about 3 summers as a garbage man on the back of a garbage truck. And one of the things we had to pick up was burn barrels. And when those were full of ashes and they were wet, they were heavier than hell. And I had a very hard time lifting them up to the back of the truck, but I was much younger then. All right, and this is another photograph of the illegal structure.
That is correct, Your Honor, with the entry door and the air conditioning unit.
Holy smokes. This is just absolute blatant disregard of the zoning enforcement rules in Constantine Township. None of this was permitted.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And that's the inside of this structure.
And it's number 32.
Yes.
So 32 is again the outside view, and I've highlighted tags in yellow. So I highlighted and pointed to the entry door that's there, and then pictures will show it later. Just inside that wall between those 2 doors is where there is 8 12-volt batteries that are being charged by a generator. So as I
What is the black thing there? Is that a refrigerator?
I think you're one step ahead of me, Your Honor.
Oh, take a look at what's on the screen.
Yeah, that's 33. So yes, that's a refrigerator in there. And again, an extension cord running through the wall, powering different devices.
And there's some sort of an inverter and
Correct.
other battery packs. That would be 34. 35.
35 is the sleeping area of this illegal structure. On top of not having any windows, I mean, there's a lot of clutter in there that if there ever was a fire, I think this gentleman would have had a very difficult time getting out alive.
Well, remember, we said we remember everything. The fire down in Montville where the man was, that little place burned up. I don't think he was killed. I think the place burned to the structure, burned to the ground. Here is fresh food and cigarettes and Monster. That would be 37.
Correct, Your Honor.
38.
Air conditioner in the wall, and then again, extension cords that are running other devices.
How they expect to run all this on a generator? You need an industrial. And then here's another view of the property with like construction equipment outside.
This is the same structure we're talking about, Your Honor. It's just a different view of it.
That's 39. 40 is the batteries you were referring to.
Yes. Which again, if you look to the very right, you can see the door open on the other part of that structure. So if that wall caught on fire, it would be, I would think, almost impossible to get out of it. And they got a gas can sitting right next to it.
142 is a smaller generator.
Yes, and that's what was connected to those car batteries to charge them.
This looks like something out of Mad Max. Thunderdome. Unapproved structure, you placarded it. That would be 43. 44.
44 is just other unlicensed trailers and debris that are sitting around on the property.
45.
Picture of that's another view of one of those illegal structures.
It's the one we already saw or a different one?
No, it's one we already saw, Your Honor, just a different view of it.
I think that's it. Nope, here's one more. Weapon that was later found to be plastic. It's a toy or something of a semi-automatic weapon. The citation was the last thing on there. How many violations do you think we just observed?
Probably 15 to 20, Your Honor.
Well, we've got new structures built without permitting, no power to the property, several 2 or 3 additional outbuildings, and numerous code violations, perhaps the spooky of which is that flame heater right next to the bedding.
Your Honor, I don't know if you have it on your computer side or not, but it's in your written report that I just handed to you on page 92 of the report. Constantine Police just did a police search warrant on the property on September 17th of 2024. They have provided me with a letter that upon our arrival there that Mr. Jelinek is still running a generator and the house was occupied when they got there for the search warrant.
There's a letter from Adam Stark, patrol sergeant, when they concern dated 9/17.
I would also indicate on your written report, I don't know that you have it on your computer version, on page 91 of the report, after we did the administrative search warrant, somebody from the Jelinek property decided to put a mannequin out, flagging the middle finger. at this point, I kind of think that that's not only for the neighbor, but that's for me and that's for you, because to me, Mr. Jelinek just has a total disregard or concern for any of the rules that we have in the state of Michigan or Constantine Township.
Yeah. Would be page 91 of the report. All right. Mr. Jelinek, that's a pretty dismal review of the evidence here. What's your position?
Okay, well, for starters, the two buildings are no longer there. It was built to be sold and they're gone. The ground's clear all around it. The heater by the bed, if you look around the room, the headboard is on the other side of the room. For winter time, the bed goes on the other side of the room. In the summertime, I put it on the other side close to the heater when the heater's never on. The generators don't run 24/7. How could you afford gasoline for that? The trailers that supposedly are unlicensed, you can clearly see the license plate on his pictures. I've got close-ups of them here. You know, they're all, every vehicle there is licensed and legal, except for the two that are, the 151 Chevy isn't.
Well, you don't, that's indoors, so you don't need to have it, but it's an improper structure.
But those structures were the original portable garages. They're just in the ordinance. It says they're I got to maintain them and keep them straight, so they're reinforced with some. Yeah, and with the extension cords, I finally got all the parts that I need, and I have an appointment with the electrician coming out.
Why is the power company shut off your power?
The storm ripped it off the side of the house. You know, I was 60 amp, and they won't hook up until it's 100 amp.
The storm was in April?
Yeah, I called the power company because the storm ripped the wires off the house.
Looks like you need more than 100 amp.
Well, you can't run all those things at once with the extension cord. And that thing of wire is was for cable wire, for the dish actually, and it's been removed. A lot of things have been removed.
Ask her to give those.
Here's my approach.
Yes.
Some more recent pictures. We eliminated a bunch of extension cord. We have to use extension cord every now and then while we're working on this power. Picture of the piles of trash. That's I used to go up underneath the bridge, the new bridge there, and clean up that area underneath there. That's where all that trash comes from. The yard today, there's no trash in the yard. There's nothing on the ground. The buildings are gone. It was reported that the generators didn't have mufflers. You can clearly see mufflers on the generators.
Well, this building is still there.
No, it's gone.
That one's
Gone?
gone
Yeah, it was portable.
How'd you get it out of there?
with a trailer. It's taken apart. It's two separate buildings.
I didn't even build that. I was in Texas visiting my father. I come back and they built me a workshop up there. The guy with the Indiana license plate that he lives in
Ross,
Indiana.
would you hand these to the,
Pickup truck with the Indiana plates with the fellow that was in there. He rebuilds old lamps and stuff. He didn't live there. His driver's license and license plate. Yes. He hangs out there a lot, works on his little projects. He's the one that actually built the buildings while I was in Texas.
all right.
And they're gone.
That's a start. All right, that's the formal hearing. I find that the defendant is responsible for multiple violations at the time the citation was issued. May have rectified some of those, but multiple electrical violations, buildings built without proper permitting, dilapidated buildings, numerous other electrical code violations. Certainly sufficient. We requested a $500 fine. We'll reserve on that. Now, this isn't my first go-round with this piece of property. The other case is a show cause in the old case from 2019. And not very long after I saw you, those children died on this property.
And Mr. Klugman was in that building 2 months before that.
Yes, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be.
Well,
Stop. This is about as bad as it gets. And I don't have much tolerance for your disregard for the rules that everybody else has to follow. Let's talk about the violation of the compliance order. Ms. Gushwent, what's the township's position regarding the order to show cause in file 192916?
Your Honor, the township's position is that based on the ruling that the court just had, in addition to all the photos and evidence that were admitted into file 2411790N, I would ask that the court find Mr. Yelnick in both criminal and civil contempt in this matter. From this court's transcript back on December 10th, 2019, this court said, and the main thing is, I don't want anyone living in those substandard houses and dying of carbon monoxide poisonings or burning up in a fire, the junk we can deal with in the spring. Mr. Jelenick's blatant disregard for the orders of this court caused the death of 2 young children. And that's why we're asking for criminal contempt. I would also ask that all the buildings be required to have no human habitation at all until both have received clearance from the building and zoning inspector. I would ask that all of the illegal structures on the property be demolished within 30 days, or the township can come on to the property and charge the cost of that demolition to the property taxes. And I would like to request that all litter be removed, all vehicles properly stored and licensed and registered or stored properly in structures that comply with the building code and zoning ordinances.
Let's go back to that compliance order. We had a previous show cause hearing. This is a 2019 case. The hearing was in April of 2021. I entered the compliance order on December 20th of 2019. It is ordered that the defendant shall not bring, install, or place any additional canvas, tarp, metal type structures onto the property unless he obtains approval from Township Zoning Administrator Douglas Coolman. It's hereby further ordered that no later than 21 days after the date of this order, the defendant shall repair the existing collapsing tent type structures on the property by ensuring they're upright and completely covered with materials. It is hereby ordered that no person may live in, sleep in, cook, or dwell in any of the tent type structures at any time, nor in a licensed and operable motorhome or camper for more than 14 days in a calendar year. It is further ordered that the provisions of the December 20th, 2019 order compliance with the ordinance are retained, which has other conditions. So this was before the children died, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
That was April 21 and they burned in?
It was April 20th of 2022 was the date of the fire.
All right. 2 things. They want me to find you in criminal contempt, means put you in jail. for your blatant disregard for my orders. And civil contempt, that they want me to order that they simply go in and clean this up within the next 30 days. You mentioned that you had something written that you wanted me to hear. Or would you like your partner to read it into the record?
It says, I would like to start by saying this, the same families have owned these 3 properties for 82 years, and there have been no problems till the last several years. Mr. Randy Holmes does not have any reason to complain about anything, as there is a neighboring property between ours. It's no secret that Mr. Holmes is the one who complains. It is, if it's not zoning, he calls the police for things such as my brightly colored kayaks are blocking his view of the bridge, or because my yard lights are too bright. And Mr. Coleman put in his report, he went to the neighboring property the day after zoning came in to update him on the investigation from the day before. I don't see what business it is of his to be updated. It took them over a week for me to get the information to see what the charges, what the zoning violations were. Why am I not allowed privacy? Mr. Holmes comes and stands on the property line of mine and the neighbors, not his property line, and just watches what is happening on my property. He is here maybe 4 days a month. I went to the library and looked at the zoning book, and it hasn't been updated since 2002. So that is no help. I feel like I'm being harassed by zoning as well as Mr. Holmes. Like the pictures they took and said unlicensed trailer, you can clearly see that there's a plate on it. And the picture, in the picture, my kid's rubber pellet gun that says weapon later determined to be plastic. We haven't seen it since the day they came. Also around a tree in the fenced in part, I included pictures of my grandfather's tools from when he was here. Who is zoning or anyone to say that they are cast-offs? It's not a cast-off to me. In previous orders, you stated I needed to maintain the existing buildings, which is what I have done, so they are safe. Also, no one lives in any building on my property, nor have I given anyone permission to stay in any building on my property. And this includes when those children lost their lives. Since zoning brought this up in this matter, that they are so concerned about this property and the children dying here. Well, if they're so concerned, how come no one has talked to the person who started the fire? They didn't have permission to be there. And she is the only one who hasn't been talked to. And the photo about the burning trash is stuff that I picked up under the bridge and around that area, which I will no longer do this. It's very clear that zoning doesn't have enough to keep them busy because they're constantly picking at me and my property. Maybe there are other properties that are much worse than mine that you can see. You can't see my property. My property is not a mess and you can hardly see it. There are other properties that are in a bigger mess than mine. And that's it.
All right.
And we can't use all those, all those extension cords don't get used at the same time.
Obviously,
Two buildings those vehicles are in are, what do you call them, portable garages, they're just beefed up. Big ones are gone. It's taken us a while to get this electric going because of the cost of all the parts we're having to buy. And we're not always at that house.
I can't screen share it. I don't think I have it. What's the purpose of the mannequin with a head on, giving the finger?
Yeah, I didn't do that. My son actually did that.
Is he the one that got arrested hiding upstairs in the house?
So he was sleeping upstairs and there were no charges. He was released.
In Georgia?
Yeah.
Okay. So is he back?
Yeah.
All right.
His probation, I don't understand it all. They took him to jail. He was out within a few hours with no charges.
Okay. The evidence under oath in the formal hearing shows continued violation of my compliance order from 2019 and 2021. The defendant,
The yard was a mess then.
yes.
A lot of cleaning up, a lot of.
So maybe you've got 30 days to do some more. You are not the least bit contrite about this. If there's a worse property, I can think of one in Flower Field. I'm hard pressed to think of it. This property is an embarrassment to Constantine Township. It's an embarrassment to St. Joseph County. 2 children died here. Not my fault. Stop. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't know why there weren't any criminal charges. I'm not the prosecutor anymore, so I don't make those calls. And people know more about it than I do. And then you went right back to the same thing. You put this building up with no permit, whether it was being built to be moved, it sure didn't look like it. Plus, you didn't have a permit to do it anyway, and a guy's living in it. He's living in it. There's a sleeping bed. He's cooking chicken or pork chops or something in there. There's no bathrooms. There's no plumbing. There's no electricity. Every room looks like a fire waiting to happen. Like I said, it looks like something from post-apocalyptic movies like Beyond Thunderdome, except they do a better job of hooking this up to batteries. I'm amazed the whole place hasn't burned down. I told you specifically not to have anybody living in those buildings, and someone was living in them and they died. I'm not doing this again. I will order everything that the township requested. You got 30 days to clean this up. They're going to come in and clean it up. They may need to bring the National Guard with them. No human habitation in any of these buildings. All illegal structures shall be removed or demolished. All litter shall be removed. All unlicensed vehicles, trailers, other things that require to be licensed shall be removed or properly licensed. And no one shall live in any of these buildings effective immediately until there is code inspected electricity in the buildings. I didn't see pictures of any bathrooms. Fortunately, I don't know what they're doing for sanitation for a pump and septic system, but none of it can be very good. It's a beautiful piece of property. Your family's owned it for more than 80 years. As you said, it's along the river. It's actually visible from the highway. And in the winter, you can see it. It looks like a homeless encampment. I'm not putting up with it anymore. You got 30 days to do it, or the township's going to come in and clean it up and give you the bill. And effective immediately. No one wants to live in there. You're not living in there with a generator and no water and no electricity. Once you get a proper electrical panel in there and you can turn it on, it's also starting to get going to be colder at night. Not having somebody else burn up while I sit here in this chair wondering what happened. So Ms. Gushwint, I'm going to do the fine on the formal hearing as 0. He's going to need money to do the things he's doing, and to fine him $500 would be counterproductive. However, he is responsible of the violation. I also find he's in contempt for the failure to comply with the compliance order. I will find him in civil contempt and allow the relief that you've asked it for. I will reserve on criminal contempt. See how he does. as Mr. Coolman said, I think this was ultimately meant for me as the person who was responsible for enforcing the township zoning requirements and the International Business Building Code from the state of Michigan. I guess that's your right to free speech. You can leave it up there if you wish. Doesn't impress me much and doesn't help your cause. So you don't make the rules, and your prior disregard of them cost two children their lives. So, Ms. Gushman, you may submit the order under the 7-day rule, but effective immediately, no one's to live in there. You got 30 days to start to clean it up. You actually have 21 days to appeal this, so they can't take any action for more than 21 days. But you've got 30 days to bring the property into compliance with the 2019 and the 2022 compliance orders.
And may I ask one question?
Yes.
So can Mr. Coleman and police officers access the property at any time or just at the 30-day mark?
They can access it to make sure no one's living in there.
And if they find somebody living in there, may they be arrested immediately?
Yes, for criminal contempt.
Thank you.
No one's burning up this time. So it's a heavy burden on you, Mr. Jelinek, but you've gone downhill from when we were last here. And you got marginal explanations for some of this and no contrition. You're just, now to your credit, since June, you have cleaned a bunch of stuff up. So those buildings are gone. But I says, you're still living in your house with no electricity. It's condemned. You're gonna fix your electricity or
We're
go.
not living there full time.
Well, you won't live there at all.
We hang out there when we'll be working on.
Well, you're allowed to do that. You have to go back there to work on it, not to sleep in it. All right, we'll be in recess. This is file number 241179ON. It's entitled, I believe, Constantine Township versus James Edward Jelinek and others. Mr. Douglas Kuhlman is here as the zoning enforcement officer for that jurisdiction. Also, Attorney Aaron Geschwint is here on behalf of the township. And Mr. Troy Shearer is here as a witness. We got multiple phone calls from the Jelineks indicating it was going to be difficult for them to be here today. They were taking a trip or something. And I was reluctant because I'd already scheduled this for this date. The law firm and Mr. Coolman was scheduled to be here this date. And I just said, you can come by Zoom. So I can't tell who's here on their behalf. It says James Jelinek. Who is there?
James, I'm James, Your Honor.
All right. And where are you, James?
I'm in Kalamazoo,
All right.
and Your Honor, I have no idea of calling in saying couldn't make it or
All right.
something.
Maybe I got my cases mixed up. Maybe it was Miss Nickerson. Could you turn your camera on? Mr. Coolman, Mr. Shearer, and Mr. Jelinek, I want you each to please raise your right hand. You all swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
I do.
All right, Mr. Shearer, you agree?
Yes.
All right. This is a property on Tim Road. There you go, Mr. Jelinek.
Okay.
We've been dealing with this for some time. There is a compliance order in effect. We were last here, same date as the last case, January 25th. The defendant had made some progress, but no permits had been pulled. He contended he was not living there. Set for a review hearing today, May 7th, 2025. Ms. Geschwant was here then, and it's helpful to have the same lawyer that has the continuing history. I looked yesterday to see whether there were any updates in the file, and there weren't. So some appeared this morning. Filed
I do
February.
have a paper copy for you if you'd like, for your honor.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Mr. Kuhlman went out and did a new inspection on May 5th. Is that correct?
Yes, your honor.
And before I turn it over here, pending the status hearing, an anonymous call is worth the paper it's not written in, but my office has received approximately 6 anonymous telephone calls advising Mr. Jelinek was back living at the property and using a generator. Advised he was staying at the township, came out, he was going to tell them he was just cleaning it up. Did you actually do another administrative search warrant?
Yes, your honor, I did.
All right, so you got an administrative search warrant on May 2nd, and you went back out on May 5th.
That is correct, your honor.
All right. And is this the report of your execution of that search warrant and the results?
Yes, it is, your honor.
Ms. Geschwint, are you going to move to admit that as exhibit number 1 for this hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kuhlman, is that a copy of your report and a fair and accurate photograph of the pictures?
Yes, it is, your honor.
We'll receive this as exhibit number 1 for this hearing, which is 5/7/25 JC. All right, Mr. Kuhlman, what did you find upon your inspection of this property on May 5th?
Your honor, unlike most inspections, I did this inspection at 10 o'clock at night because the anonymous call said that he was staying there as you indicated and that he was just going to say that you gave him permission to be there during the day. So we did this, executed it at 10 o'clock at night. Mr. Jelinek was out on the property. He was burning something, I'm not sure what, but there were lights on in the house. When I asked him how the lights were out in the house, he said a generator. I asked him to show me the generator. He took me to a generator that was covered up with a tarp and non-operational. I did not hear any other generator operating, so that's when he told me that he was powering them by batteries. I asked him to show me the batteries. Excuse me. We kind of meandered through the property going nowhere. I finally said, I need to see where you're getting power into your house. I would direct you to pages 20 and 21 of my report. He actually took me to where the meter base of the house is. And he actually said a friend of his, he wouldn't tell me who, but a friend of his actually untaped the wire ends of the power line coming to the house and added a cable to that, which then on page 21 reflects where this cable is, page 20 is showing the cable coming down to the ground, and there's just a ready box outlet there that he had 2 extension cords plugged into, and he was running those extension cords back into the house and to the accessory building. He had, again, won't tell me who, but did admit that he understood that he was actually stealing power from the power company. As a result of that, we did call American Electric Power. They did come out and terminate the power up to the top of the pole so that that can't happen again. Once I went into the house, there was a female subject inside the house by the name of Crystal Meadows. Looks like she was drinking some kind of a, excuse me, some kind of a pop and watching television. There was a tower light with 2 lights turned on there. There was an electric space heater in the room. I'm gonna estimate the temperature in that room was probably 75 degrees because the heater was working quite well. I did notice another one of the gas-fired wall furnaces that is attached to the shake shingle wall that still had a pilot light running, so it was fully operational. I went into the kitchen. There's pictures in there indicating the kitchen area. On page 24 of my staff report, there's a fresh piece of meat laying on the island of the counter. Looks like they're getting ready to prep for a meal. Page 25 of my staff report shows the refrigerator completely full of food. And on page 26 of the report shows the picture of the freezer with a bag of ice in it and looks like some ice cream and some other items in there. Mr. Jelinek did admit to me, it started out that he said he'd only been living there for the last week. However, the last communication that I heard him talking with the sheriff's department said he'd been there approximately at 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks. There is some debris laying out in the ground. Mr. Jelinek is telling me that he is preparing for a garage sale and has been having garage sales. I can only take him for his word at that, but right now I don't have a whole lot of respect for his word. There are 2 vehicles. One's on page 30 of the staff report. The hood's up on it. It's got a tow strap on it. I believe he said he was having to put a new transmission in that one. The other vehicle that we've seen all along through this inspection on page 31 is that white panel truck that's been on the property. That now is jacked up in the front of it, and he indicated to me that he was making repairs on that as well. I did receive some communication that Mr. Jelinek was in the process of selling his property. So I did pull it up on the web and found out that in fact he does have the property for sale. It is actually pending a sale. So I reached out to the realtor, which is Mr. Shear, and asked him if he was aware that there was currently a court action going on with this property. And we were due in court this week. And he knew absolutely nothing about this being in any court action. So I did, on page 32 of the report is
The listing.
a copy of the listing. And then if you go way back to page 64, is actually the disclosure agreement that Mr. Jelinek signed, that clearly indicates that there is no action pending of litigation. There is no violations of any building codes or anything like that. There's items 2, 3, and 11 on the disclosure agreement are clearly a blatant lie in his responses. I don't know what to do here, Your Honor. I'm frustrated with him. He can't tell me the truth. He's defying your orders. He's defying the township. I don't know where to go from here, Your Honor.
Mr. Shear, have you heard the testimony here?
Yes. I
And
did hear
have
it.
you been retained to sell this property?
Yes.
And there's a buyer
Actually have
ready
it pending right
to
now.
purchase it?
Yep.
Did they inspect it?
They wanted for the land.
How much acreage is there?
The
I
acreage,
believe it's just a little over 2, Your Honor, if I recall.
2.6, Your Honor.
Well, that might solve it. I can't imagine. Are they a remote buyer from somewhere else?
nope, they're local.
This place is about ready to burn down. It's got a gas fireplace built into the wall that was supposed to be disconnected. And doesn't meet code. It's got a funky space heater in it. It's got unlawful and uninspected electrical. It's amazing it hasn't burned down. There has been a tragic fire on this property. Have you inspected the property?
No, I have not.
How imminent is the closure of that sale?
Can you repeat that?
How imminent is the sale of the property?
The net sale? Let me look at
Yes.
the contract right now. $100,000.
No, but is there a closing date or anything?
Yes, we are still working on the closing date. It is on or before the next week. So on or before the 15th.
Well, they're buying into a whole bunch of problems.
Yes, and is there
It'd
any
be one
docs?
thing if they just came in and raised this and then scraped the ground clean and started fresh. But if they're gonna try to reside in this house, it has all kinds of work that needs to be done with it to get an occupancy permit.
Your Honor, I'm not sure where this is gonna go, but the power company did indicate to the sheriff's department they wanted to press criminal charges for the theft of the power as well, so. I'm not
Well,
sure
I
we're
was gonna
see a new case or not.
get into that also. Mr. Jelinek, you are under oath. You have the Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate yourself. This is a civil zoning proceeding, but there is indication there's an investigation of a criminal complaint regarding regarding the way the power is hooked up. Also, it appears that you're in great contempt of most of my orders, which could result in a contempt finding, which could put you in jail for up to 90 days. I think I might enjoy that. So bearing in mind that anything you said could be used against you, and you don't have to say anything if you don't wish to. Is there anything you want to tell me?
I'm responsible for electric. I didn't authorize it. It was done. And, yeah, still haven't gotten the permit. I mailed that, excuse me. I mailed that electrical permit off, beginning of January. I've never received it. As far as them heaters on the wall, they mount on any wall surface. The body of it doesn't even get warm. I have been staying out there since the first weekend of May. Because I was trying to, I've taken down 9 outbuildings, got rid of 2 cars. There's a boat that was supposed to get picked up yesterday. Hopefully they'll get it today. But the house is, it's just the electric problem. There's no other problems, but the inside's getting done too. A new fuse panels going on the inside. I just can't afford to live there anymore.
Ms. Geschwint, what is the township seeking here?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point, the township, Mr. Coleman has been lied to, Mr. Shearer has been lied to, this court has been lied to. I think that's all very clear. I think that this shows a blatant disregard for this court's orders. Back in 21, he was still ordered to not reside in the house, and that's when 2 children tragically died in a fire on this property as a direct defiance of this court's order. I would ask that this court order that Mr. Jelinek, within 30 days, pull a demolition permit, have the dwelling demolished. Prior to that, allow the township to enter onto the property and board up the structure and completely seal it off so that no person or domestic animal may exist in that dangerous building. I would further ask that Mr. Coleman be able to access the property to continue to ensure that nobody is residing, sleeping in, cooking in, or dwelling in this structure. I would ask the court that if after 30 days, the defendant fails to pull a demolition permit, the township may proceed to effectuate the demolition of the structure on June 15th. And charge all costs for boarding up of the property and the demolition to the defendant in any legal means possible as a tax or a lien thereon. And I would ask that the defendant be ordered to pay agency fees in the amount of $375. And further, I would finally ask the court for any civil or criminal contempt the court finds appropriate in this manner.
Thank you. Well, apparently there's somebody willing to purchase this, which might solve part of our problems. The township might not have to go to the expense of destroying the property if a purchaser buys it and either makes it code compliant or tears it down. But there is the contempt issue. And so Mr. Shearer indicates there's a buyer. They might feel differently after they watch this hearing, who apparently has inspected the property. He has inspected the property. And the defendant has been defiant throughout, and 2 children died, and nobody ever got charged with anything. I don't do the charging. And then he's continued to defy this court's order. So I'm going to continue this to allow the potential sale of this property.
Your Honor,
Yes?
I don't know if when I talked with Mr. Shear yesterday, he had indicated that he knew nothing about all these problems and that he was gonna terminate this contract. So I don't know whether that's still the case or whether.
All right,
today
Mr.
he's-
Shearer, is your property purchaser still interested in buying this?
I'm gonna talk to him after this court case and then, give him all the information that I have, that I've learned from here, then go from there.
The search warrant and accompanying photographs have been admitted as an exhibit and makes them a matter of public information. So you can share a copy of that report with Mr. Shearer, and then his buyer can decide what they want to do, if they just want it for the property. But I'm going to do a criminal contempt hearing where we're going to see whether you're in criminal contempt, in which case I'm going to seriously consider a jail sentence. Because of that, I may have an obligation to appoint counsel on your behalf. I believe I'm entitled to order up to 90 days of jail for criminal contempt in this proceeding, but I can't make a summary finding of it. I have to have a hearing regarding that, and you have to have the right to counsel because there's a possibility of a jail sentence. Wednesday, June 11th at 1:30. Does that work for you guys?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're gonna have surgery or
No,
you'll be.
my surgery is scheduled for June the 9th. You can give me a week beyond that, that would be great.
How about Wednesday, June 25th? You're scheduled to be here that morning anyway, your firm is. Wednesday, June 25th at 10. Will that work for you?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, can I make one more request that
Just a
if
minute.
somebody does purchase this property, we do need an affidavit. They will take it subject to the demo orders. Or the, whatever current orders the court has.
Well, I'd like to give the purchaser an opportunity to be heard on this. I suspect once they find all this out, they're gonna want to purchase it. Maybe they'll say, oh, we'll wait till the township tears it down, then we'll buy it. But so I'm not committed to that. They have made some improvements on the property. If somebody came in with a proper mindset of getting permits and licensed professionals to do the work and the capital to do it, this could be a nice little place. It's on the river. It must have 5 million gallons of toxic substances on it from all the vehicles that were parked back there. But if somebody wants to buy it, I guess that's up to them. But I suspect what's going to happen is the sale's going to fall through, but I hope not. I hope somebody agrees to buy it. And if they do, I'd like to at least hear their position on what they want to do with it. Mr. Jelinek, you don't really care what I say, so I'm not sure what you're going to do between now and June 25th. But for every night you continue to stay there, I'll continue an additional few days in jail. The power's been shut off. You got food in the refrigerator that had to be moved. You got stuff there. Your neighbors are calling in, wondering why nobody's doing anything about it. So we are gonna do something about it. And there's an issue regarding raising the building on it for your absolute defiance of the court order and the finding of contempt, which could result in a jail sentence for you or other sanction. So we're gonna set the contempt hearing and continued hearing regarding the violations. And Mr. Jelinek, I'm going to talk to the public defender's office regarding their ability to represent you in this matter. You certainly have a right to hire a lawyer. And my advice would be you consult with one because there's a very solid record that you're in violation of my order and you're in contempt. But there hasn't been a finding. You haven't had a chance to respond. There may also be a criminal complaint regarding theft of the electricity. Your version is somebody else did it, but you acquiesced to it. Well, that somebody else also could be subject to a criminal charge. All of this is further compounded by the fact that you know what happened there and did it anyway. All right. I guess we have your contact information. I'm going to consult with the public defender's office regarding appointment for counsel for you for that hearing. It will be at 10 o'clock in the morning on June 25th. All right. You have any questions?
No.
All right. Mr. Shearer, Mr. Kuhlman can provide you with a copy of that report from his investigation from May 2nd. If your buyer wishes to continue with the purchase, that might solve a lot of our problems. If they don't, I certainly understand why they want to back out from this deal. But
Okay.
it is a nice piece of property if it hadn't been so corrupted. All right, we'll be in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
What kind of orders do you want on both of these?
Let's go back on the record.
Sorry.
On the first one, just to an order continuing it to the August 13th date. And the second one, do an order finding continued violations on the property and continued hearing for Wednesday, June 25th at 10 a.m. and scheduling of a hearing regarding contempt, criminal contempt of the civil or criminal contempt of the defendant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that looks better.
All right, Mr. Jelinek,
Yeah.
I can't see you.
They can't see me. I fix that.
Huh?
Can't see me. How can I fix this? You can't see me.
Why can't he see you? Because it's being sent to one or more apps. I don't know why. Why can't they see you?
Okay, I'm on there now, I think.
Oh, this is on me. We sent a notice out with Zoom appearance. This was supposed to be live.
The one I
But
received is
I didn't make that clear. Yes, you got a Zoom notice. All right, let me call the case. This is file number 241179ON. Constantine Township versus James Edward Jelinek. Attorney Aaron Geschwint is here on behalf of the Geschwint Sieber Law Firm. On behalf of the township, and Douglas Kuhlman, their zoning enforcement officer, is here. This case has long history of violations of the compliance orders. We had heard at our last hearing that it appeared this property was going to be sold, which could solve a lot of our problems. Mr. Howard Bush is an attorney that's been practicing in Constantine for about 60 plus years. And he had advised me he was representing the purchaser of this property.
And the name of my purchaser is not being disclosed.
No, we don't need to disclose the purchaser's name, but you're representing that person?
That is correct.
And what's the status of the transfer of the ownership of this property out on Tim Road?
We are ready to close.
Do you have a closing date?
I expect to have it today. I have the closing funds in my trust account, so I mean, it's going to be basically done quickly. It's going to be a double closing, one with the seller and then another closing with my undisclosed client.
Now, does this consolidate two separate pieces of property into one?
I'm not willing to state that, Your Honor, but
All right.
basically,
All right, it would. All right, Mr. Jelinek, are you in the process of selling this property?
Yes.
But you've not yet received the funds?
No.
the purchaser's funds, as I stated, are in my trust account. He has made a down payment, a deposit.
All right, that would go a long way to alleviating this ongoing problem. However, it does not alleviate your direct contempt violations of my order, that you not do a bunch of things that you were doing, including living there back in May. I wanted to complete the sale of this before we proceeded further. Ms. Geschwint, what's your position here?
Thank you, Your Honor. The township's position and my position is, we were still requesting 90 days jail. Further, we are requesting $7,500 costs to come out of the closing of the sale, both for direct contempt violations. It's my understanding that there was an inspection of the property. That inspection did find more people living on the property other than just Mr. Jelinek and his wife. Mr. Jelinek has directly violated this court's order repeatedly over time, which ultimately led to the death of 2 young children some years ago. So that's why we would be requesting the 90 days jail as well as the $7,500 costs.
All right.
If Your Honor, please, regarding closing, I expect we would close for my client either this week or the first part of next week. It'll be within the next several days shortly.
All right. I wanted to complete the sale of this before we proceeded. The township is asking for jail time for this contempt. We haven't actually taken direct testimony. I guess we did the last time Mr. Kuhlman testified as to his investigation. My fear, however, Mr. Jelinek, and I mentioned this last time, is that you may need counsel. You also need to be here. This was on me. I didn't want this by Zoom. If you're going to do 90 days in jail, I'm not going to order it from there. It's not yet to be determined. But one issue is the costs should come out of the sale, and the sale is about to take place.
I would state this, we would be, if you adjourn this matter for a week, we will have it closed in that time period.
All right, but there will be proceeds of the sale that the township wishes to attach. All right, let's take a look at the calendar. This is a problematic time of year in that holidays and vacations and judicial conferences. Mr. Jelinek, are you still in the area? Did you move away?
I'm still in the area.
I have a spot potentially on July 16th, but I have a very unpleasant criminal sexual conduct hearing set for that whole afternoon. And I set landlord tenant in the morning. This is going to take us a while, Ms. Geschwint. My apologies. You're set to be here on the Nickerson case at 1 o'clock on August 13th. I think, Doug, you're on that too.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, let's set this for 1:30. Continued for contempt hearing to August 13th, 2025 at 1:30. You may file a lien on the proceeds of the sale in the amount of $7,500.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It isn't determining that it's gonna be $7,500, but you may file a lien for up to $7,500 on the proceeds of the sale. This was about as bad as it got, and I was seriously unhappy with the continued violations after the death of those 2 children. And you know my opinion on all of that. I'm going to appoint an attorney for the defendant because of likelihood of jail. Of the possibility of jail. So, Mr. Jelinek, you're gonna need to come into the courthouse and fill out the paperwork for a court-appointed attorney to represent you in this matter. You can hire an attorney of your own choosing if you wish. You can even represent yourself. But I want to present the ability for you to have counsel. That will be live, not by Zoom. At that time, we will determine how much, if any, fines and costs there will be. The township's gone to considerable expense in this matter. And I'm going to put a hold on $7,500 of the proceeds of this sale. Then we'll decide that and if and what any punishment will be if contempt is found. But they're asking for criminal contempt, and I believe you need an attorney. And hopefully the sale will be completed by that time.
If
And the new owner wants to get all this property cleaned out of there, and that's good. There's also some issues regarding road right-of-ways and that sort of thing. It'd be very good to have this property in the ownership of someone other than these parties. So, Mr. Jelinek, I'm going to appoint an attorney for you, or you can hire an attorney of your own choosing. But our next hearing will be live in person, Wednesday, August 13th at 1:30. And we'll address the matters further. Ms. Geschwint is going to file a lien, Howard, holding
that's
up
fine,
to $500 of the proceeds.
that's fine.
All right, anything else we need to place on the record?
Nothing further at this time. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, we'll deal with this live, face to face, everybody in the same room on August 13th. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Now, I was concerned about clearing the decks for our next hearing at 1:30, and it appears we've managed to do that. Mr. Jelinek, you're good to go, but you need to come in and fill out the court-appointed paperwork and get notice of who your attorney is.
August 13th, 1:30.
Yes. Thank you, Howard.
Thank you.
And good morning, everybody else.
Do you need the closing agent on this matter?
No, just let me know when it closes.
Okay,
That's what we need here, a white hat buyer to come in and buy this piece of property and solve all these problems. Mr. George is here on odd circumstances. I had talked to Mr. Stickley, the chief public defender, about our next case, People versus James Edward Jelinek. File number is 241179. Well, phooey, it's not in my queue. Let me get it. This is a case with a long and troubling history. It started in June of 2024. This is a property on Tim Road in Constantine. Mr. Coleman spent a lot of time on this property. We had previous hearings in previous years, multiple violations, multiple infractions. Someone died on this piece of property. I had ordered as a compliance order that he no one reside in the property. And he was in clear violation of that in June. Now, Mr. Bush was involved as property counsel. I believe they did complete the sale of this property. And the restitution was to come out of the proceeds of the sale. However, this township was requesting 90 days of jail as a criminal contempt for violating the compliance order. Because there was the potential of a jail sentence in this zoning violation hearing, I asked the public defender if they would have counsel available for Mr. Jelinek. And so Mr. Tim George was appointed. Mr. George, have you ever had any contact with the defendant?
No, Your Honor. My office has reached out to him with no success. I tried reaching out to him with no success. I do note that we do have our mailing that was sent back to us. It was to the old address, so I'm assuming that because he's gone, that's why it wasn't delivered and was returned to us, but I've had no contact with him.
Mr. Kuhlman, did the sale go through?
Yes, Your Honor, it did, and I'm in possession of a check for $7,500 for that criminal contempt portion of it. I have held on to it because it was my understanding that you were considering it, but had not ordered it. But I do have a check in my possession, dated July 2nd of 2025.
Ms. Gershwant, what's the village's position?
The village's position at this point is there's been a significant disregard for the direct orders of this court, including to appear here in person today. I am still requesting the 90 days jail, in addition to the $7,500.
Yes. I don't think the defendant was here on June 25th. I set the matter for the contempt hearing from the bench for August 13th and requested that we get an attorney, the hearing be done live, not by Zoom.
I believe Mr. Jelinek was present via Zoom.
Was he?
Yes,
All
it
right.
was.
Then he knows about this hearing.
Yes.
You've placed a municipal lien on the property for $7,500. We need to do something with that check. Check for $7,500 may be released to Constantine Township to be held in trust until further hearing. At some point, my intention was to take some testimony regarding the contempt. Mr. Kuhlman presented the pictures that indicated clearly they were living in there. And, you know, my hair was on fire with the guy about all the terrible things that had happened in this property. Then at one point, his son was in there and they got him out of there and then he was in there. So I wasn't very happy and the township wasn't very happy, but right now we can't just leave this uncashed $7,500 check. So it may be released to the township to be held in trust till further order of the court. I'm going to do a bench warrant for James Jelinek for failing to appear at this hearing.
Can I just clarify when I turn this over, when you say in trust, can that be with commingled funds or does this need to be in an isolated account or?
I'm not an accountant. They just can't spend it. They can't apply it to the general fund or otherwise reallocate it if I don't find a finding of contempt. One option would be to take testimony right now regarding the violation and find that portion of the contempt, but I don't want to do the hearing twice. If and when we find him, if we don't, then the township can ask for a hearing to release the funds permanently. And I could make a finding after sworn testimony regarding the violations and at least issue the $7,500 civil contempt. I had heard that Mr. Jelinek left the state. I don't know whether that's true or not. Mr. Bush had some insight to this. Mr. Bush has helped me resolve 2 recent cases with the sale of property and some contested matters. And so one was a landlord-tenant screwy case, and Howard was instrumental in resolving the case with Victor Bland. And he got this property consolidated with some other property. And anyway, I appreciated his help, but Mr. Jelinek knew this day was coming, took, I guess, the other proceeds of the sale and left the state. All right, if after 90 days, bench warrant not served, township can request hearing to forfeit the $7,500. Ms. Gushwant, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Mr. George, thank you for this.
Yes, sir.
You haven't had this kind of case exactly, but it's hard to represent your client when he doesn't ever have any contact with you. And I went out of the way to make sure that he would have representation in this matter. The township is still requesting jail, and it's still a realistic possibility, so we'll see. I don't believe I can extradite on this type of a bench warrant. So let's see where this goes. Anything further?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, I guess we could have done worse.
If you want anything else from me,